Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third podcast in the 2022 podcast series brought to you by the Women in Business Club of the John Molson School of Business. Today, we have the profound pleasure of interviewing Nasreen Sheikh. Nasreen is an entrepreneur and the founder of the Empowerment Collective, which is a nonprofit organization that employs and trains women in Nepal. Welcome, Nasreen. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Monica, for having me and giving me this opportunity to come here and share my experiences and the work that we have been doing in the ground. Thank you so much for taking the time and connecting with me. So I'm very excited to share.
Thank you. We're very excited as well.
Yeah.
So Nasreen, can you tell us a little bit about your history and where you're from?
Yeah, my history is very it feels like lifetime ago for me, because where I come from is a small rural village on the border of India and Nepal. Very very male dominated society. In that time, the time that I was growing up, my village was not even documented. Many births or deaths were not recorded, so I also my birth was also not recorded in that time, so I really don't know exactly how old I am. I can guess 28, 29, 30 years old. Growing up in my village, I witnessed a lot of atrocities was happening around women and children. And one of the things that really shocked me is to see that every single young girls were being forced into marriage. And that became a very intense experience as a child to see, like, everybody was so unhappy. But when my own 12-year-old sister, when she was arranged into marriage, that's when it really hit me, to see being 12-year-old being arranged into this marriage, and all of her desires and her dreams and her curiosity was fading away, and she was getting into that space of responsibilities where, after the marriage, she will become a mother, and and a husband, and that whole responsibility. And she's not even 16, 17, 18 yet. She has no life skills to support that. And and she was crying, and because she was so scared of that space, of being into that. And I asked my mother, and I say, like, why do you force the sister? She doesn't want to get married. And she said that this is our culture, this is what I did, this is what my mother did, this is what your sister is going to do, and then someday you will also have to do. Actually, not someday, right after the sister, it's your turn. And when she said that, it really hit me that, oh my God, after my sister, it's going to be me. And in that time, in these rural villages, there's no role models, there's no opportunities, there's no internet, there's no electricity, there's like nothing. It's very, very rural. It's so disconnected with the world. So I had no one to look up to. And my family was so poor that I would go to collect firewood and things like that, and that's how I was able to connect with nature. And I would spend hours and hours talking to the trees, or just praying to be like, to guide me. And then after several months later, one of my cousin who got in touch with me, and I asked him if I can go city with him. So I think when I was 9 or 10 year old, I left my village, and came to the city.
Wow, that's such a brave step to take at such a young age to a place you've never seen before. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened next? I mean, obviously between 10 and now, you founded your own business. What were the
Mhm.
steps that brought you there?
I mean, it's long. Like I tell people that it's not the age that makes you old, it's the experience that makes you, fill with wisdom and become aware of who you really are. And even though I might look 28 or 30, I don't know. But it just looking back, I felt like I have lived many lifetime experience. And so, I'm thinking that, I escaped my village to have a better life and to be not become a victim of forced marriage and like literally lose my whole life. So I come to this city and I think that I will have a better life. But instead of that, my cousin, he was working in a sweatshop. So he and six others people and me, we all of the sudden I find myself in 10 by 10 room with literally with like nothing. Like I eat, I work, I sleep. And I want people to think here, because I was only 10-year old, 9 or 10 year old. And imagine being 9 or 10 year old and locked up in a 10 by 10 room with like hundreds of clothes that I was forced to make. And I would wake up sometime when the orders was like, we have to have 500 pieces and we needed to finish this in a week. And if we don't finish that in a week, it means we will not get paid. So the agent would wake us up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we would work all the way to like 7, 8, 9 p.m. And we would that time, like I would feel so sleepy, and like so like every bit of my energy was drained out after that work. And then they would put like cold water on my face, on my eyes, to keep awake, and then put the loud music, and so we can keep. So we would work until like 11 and 12 p.m. And that's when I literally collapsed, and I started to talk again to myself. And I would talk in my head because I couldn't talk loud. I would talk to the in my head that whoever is going to wear these clothes, I hope they can feel me, and they can feel my bloods and my tears and how much I want to sleep, and I just want to have like enough, and I can't. And I hope these people can feel. I hope through these clothes, I hope they can feel. And then it would be like 12 o'clock, and when the sleeping time would come, we have no bed. So we would put all the machine aside and make those same clothes that we were making. We would turn that into a bed, sleep on that. And if people would know how much chemicals are in those clothes, they will never wear them. And because so much filled with chemical, and we would sleep on that, and that's like you couldn't even breathe. And in that sweatshop, like there was only one tiny windows which was all the time shut down, one door that would also be shut down all the time. And like that, I worked for almost 2 years. And for me, I felt like this is the next life. Like this is a life. And I didn't know better, or anything. So after 2 years later, my sweatshop gets shut down. Like how fashion industry, the design comes, and the season comes, and it's high seasons, and people buy more, and then the season goes down and nobody buys. And so when nobody buys, the sweatshop has an effect on it, on the ground, where like either they adopt to a new model or they get shut down because it's easier to set up another one. And so like that, my sweatshop gets shut down. And I literally, after that, I have only two choices: either go and find a job in another sweatshop, or become a street kid and might end up in a human trafficking, or go back to the village and be forced into the marriage. So I basically had not much choices there. So I chose to be just in the street. And the rest of my other colleague, they went to find job in the other factory. And now, back, I'm realizing what happened. And it's very interesting that how these big factories makes contract with the big factories, and the big factories have the small factory have the tiny factory have the more tiny factories, and then these tiny factories subcontract with these individuals sweatshops that is set up to do only one task over and over and over and over. So when we do same task over and over, we our brain works like a machine, and also we provide quality work, and and children can do that work, and so I felt like during that time in the sweatshop I was like a machine, and my hands and everything was working as a machine. And later then I also am understanding now that most of these children and the sweatshop workers were coming from very rural villages where they didn't have birth certificate, where they didn't have even their birthday, and things like that. So if we don't have birth certificate, how can you even go to the school? How can you even make a police report or things like that? So these factories knows that if they abuse children or the people in these conditions, then they will get away by because we don't have a birth certificate. So they use unregulated factories use undocumented people, and and we made like literally like less than $2 a day for working 12 to 15 hours a day and making less than $2. And with that money you couldn't afford clean water, you couldn't afford a food, or clothes, like any basic things that you just like live in that sweatshop. So the margin was so tight that it just makes you to keep operating in the space of like, if I was a victim of sweatshop, it means my children will be also the same, my the whole generation. And I look back and I see that how my father was victim of this whole thing. He was making $7 a day, I mean a month, sorry, $7 a month, and he worked as a labor in as a welder, in a terrible condition, and he lost his ability when I was not even born, and he became disabled with the brain because his working condition was so bad. So this car industry basically took my father, fashion industry took my own childhood, and then so now I'm realizing like why it is happening, and I'm seeing that this is a big problem. And right now there is over 40 million people who are experiencing the same thing that I experienced as a child. And most 70% of them are women and girls. So once I little bit back to the story, like once I am in the street, and I met very kind, complete a strange person, but in that time I didn't had any choice. So even that person, like he was I was in the street and he had a dog, and this dog comes and tried to sniff on me. Maybe I was dirty or something, I don't know. And so this dog comes and sniff on me, and I get scared. And he says like, don't be scared, he's like my son, come here. And when he said come here, he was the first person in my life that I witnessed that was telling with love, come here. And I felt the essence of love. And so I literally grabbed his wrist and I asked him, uncle, can you teach me? And this person becomes like my father, my mentor, my teacher for this last 10 years. His name was Leslie John. And he made me aware of who I am as a human, and he gave me the most important thing, education. And with that education I was able to read and write, and literally able to change my destiny. And I came to understand that whatever is happening in my community and the people around me, it's a human rights violation, and there are there's way that we can fix it. So with that education, still, I was new and I didn't know what to do, so I take little loan, and with that loan I opened first small social enterprise called Local Women's Handicrafts. And that Local Women's Handicraft is completely mission driven in the space of supporting disadvantaged and marginalized women with creative skills training. I don't want women to just make one thing and be a machine. I want them to create, because art is such a powerful form of our exposed, like, this is who we are. And if art is exploited, then humanity is exploited. That's how I feel. And it is very important to restore art, and we can restore art only when humanity can have a basic human rights where they can feel good in their body so they can create better. So in 2015, I brought a group of friends from all over the world. We did fundraise and we set up our first empowerment center. And in that empowerment center, our model was that anybody who comes and joins our center, we will provide them 7 things. Means like protected environment, food, water, shelter, healthcare, education, and access to technology. And with these 7 things, when the person was having, and first of all, a lot of women were having a hard time even knowing that it's possible or not. But so once we give them, slowly we saw that the lost spirit was coming out, and they were able to create and make beautiful crafts and art. And anybody can visit Local Women's Handicraft shop and see like how we are collecting all these leftover fabrics. We are restoring looms, 100-year-old looms, which is almost people are like forgetting about it. So we're trying to restore these ancient technology, basically, to share our arts with the world. And that was one of the most sustainable way to eradicate modern day slavery and poverty and all this trauma. And that's why I feel like it's very important to let the local leaders lead the community, because they know how to. They're born there, they live there. They, if they can have education, they can see and fix the problem. So that's what Local Women's Handicraft is doing right now.
That's just incredible. Every aspect or pillar that you've spoken about, I mean, taking there was so much negative when it started. I mean, to say from the roots, to say that you would be forced into marriage because it's part of the culture, makes you think, well, this is a negative aspect of the culture. But because you
Yeah,
grew up in the culture, after
yeah,
having passed such difficult and challenging situations, you
yeah,
still found a way to pull out the good parts and make
yeah,
those shine. And that's just amazing. Exactly as you're saying, you have to have local leaders and then empower people. You don't just give someone a cookie cutter, because they can't bloom if you do that. So I think
yeah,
it's incredible how, because you felt all of these very difficult emotions, you knew what was needed to
yeah.
get out of them, and now you can provide that to other people, and that's
And
really
that's the one
admirable.
thing, yeah, like that's the one thing I feel like there are millions of people who are trapped in this slavery. They're looking for one single chance, to get out of that. And it's like my dream is like, how can we provide that chance to them so they can figure out their own problems? And if my teacher, like, life happens, poverty happens, the culture happens, we all are, somehow unknowingly participate in trauma, and then it affects some community or certain part. And that's where this is a part of nature. When we do something, we do good, we do also bad sometimes, so unknowingly. So that's where I think humanity really need to step into the space of like, how can we help, and how can we help in a way that it's just not a short term. It's not just like, here you go, $10 and that's it. If my teacher would have just given me a $5 or $10, I might would have just become a beggar, but what he did is he gave me a connection, a connection with like a care of like, okay, I will give you every day 1 hour and I will teach you, and that connection is transformed, and it was 10 years of experience. We build that bond. So it does not have to be your own father or your own mother or sister, just bond that connection. In this experience, we are so connected with one another. And if we can really just take that time and give that power to that connection, we can really heal and support each other. I tell my teacher, like, why did you choose to help me? And he says that you don't know what you gave me in return. And I was like, what did I give? And he says, like, I was able to use my knowledge to pass out on you. And it just like, so it becomes a dance between these two awareness. And I feel like if everybody steps into that comfort zone and allow how to help, how to be in service, I feel like the world would be much more connected and much more happier and healthier place. So that's just what I'm trying to do in my small way, little way.
Well, not so small if you've opened, a local handicrafts business, and you're offering women these 7 ingredients to establish, like you're saying, like this level of safety and
Yeah,
security, that they can feel that now all the basic needs are met. Now we can actually step up to the next needs,
yeah,
and the more human creative needs, where you can grow and explore. And I think it's fascinating. So these steps you're taking are essentially pulling out the good parts of the culture and helping
yeah,
empower the women around you. And
yeah,
you have quite a few women that you've already
yeah.
empowered in this way. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How do women find you, your
Yeah.
business? How what do you do when somebody comes to you?
Yeah, those are really good questions. So we started this in 2008. I think I was 15 or 16 years old in that time. And it started from very small and very heart-centered, very connected with the community. So we never had to look for like, where are the women? The women came to us in that place, because when anything, when you do from real truth and connection, you attract those energies. And so the women would come to the center and they would feel so good, and they would go and talk to their communities and their communities. So still today date, we have lines of women in the waiting list that want to be a participate in the center. So far we have served like almost like 20,000 meals. We have given 7,500 reusable pads. We have empowered hundreds of women with skills and training. And currently, we have the team of 35 women in the ground, like helping and mentoring, and giving training every single day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day, to empower that community to really focus on art and crafts, and show the community that what they are capable of. And we when we make these arts, we are not asking people like, hey, can you just donate and give us this? We are saying to the people, like, we made these beautiful arts, we would like you to buy it in a fair way, in a so you can also provide provide me with this good if you can buy fairly, then I can afford to send my children to the school. I can have clean water, I can pay my own rent, I can have my own clothes, and I can have a life. And then I can create more. And so, once we started to make our own art, and we started to sell our crafts directly to the buyer, the craft was not so expensive, the art was not so expensive, because all the middlemen that was, before, like, it was, I was telling you, like, big factories, tiny factories and small factories. So bottom made nothing, top made so much, and in the middle we all are just a workforce. So what we did is, like, we made our own art, and we were like, okay, we are going to sell our own art. And when we did that, it was very, very powerful for the consumer to buy directly from the artist and see the transformation happening. The women who were like 4 years ago could not even buy her medicine. Today, same woman is like owning and running her own business, mentoring other young girls, sending her children to be, whatever they want to be, let them dream. And when those buyers sees that, they build a very special connection with that art and with that thing, and they feel like their dollar worth so much more. So that was very powerful to see how that sustainably it was helping. I see millions of dollars are being sent to, like, end poverty, and it goes, it just, the leadership is not there. And I feel like if we can focus on art, and if we can really focus on giving the women the tool, to fight for their own poverty, so they know how to overcome with it. And that's exactly what Local Women's Handicraft and Empowerment Collective was able to do. That because I was like, if I can, if I was a street kid, and if I can come this far, these women can go much more further. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Some of our women are much more further, and it's just like, let's copy this model, let's bring the social enterprise. And yes, we do need funding in the beginning to build a center or to build these machines and things like that. But in the end, women need to learn how to take care of self and take care of her family. And that has been really, really inspiring.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a women in business club that you're speaking with, and you're talking about so many aspects of business that we cover in our studies and that are important in today's day and age. The model you're referring to with the many steps going down, I find that is, there is interest in changing that and making it more direct, especially the pandemic, I feel, has sort of encouraged people to search for more local, to skip middlemen, to go directly to the source, and to empower the creators of the
Mhm.
pieces that we wear or wear, eat, I mean, consume in every way, right? So
Yeah.
creating this win-win exchange that you're talking about, where the buyer is so happy that they're contributing, and the seller is so happy that they're able to make something, and a sort of relationship is forged. And I think it's a very interesting business model you're speaking about, and it's very sustainable, as you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, you were saying that, and this is also coming up a lot in today's business environment, how can a business stay sustainable going forward on multiple levels, not just so
Yeah.
socially, environmentally. And you were talking a bit about the looms, and then you had
Mhm.
mentioned also that a lot of places, in the environment you're in, don't have electricity and so on. Can you tell us a bit about what makes your business environmentally sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at back in time, people were still surviving. We didn't had so much materialistic world, and it was so much built on like sustainable models, and because we were working with our woods and and trees, and we needed to keep balance with that. And so there in these, especially in Nepal and India, there are a lot of indigenous communities, that still holding that root. And we are like, how can we understand that root so we keep that hope going? Because one day, what if the electricity we just lose, and what this humanity is going to face, and we will have no clue how to figure this out. So we when earthquake happened in Nepal, 7.8 magnitude earthquake, literally in like few seconds, thousands of people died and millions of economy lost. So we know that natural disasters is something that we cannot prevent. All we can do is try our best and participate and align with nature as much we can. And so when these disasters happen, we had to like change the way we think and we do things. And one of the thing that we were like, okay, the looms are it's 100-year-old looms. It's physically like we some other organization donated to us, and it's all made by wood. It's all powered by like hands crafted and had done by hand, and the fruit. And really, if you if because these looms are like, you have to honor that. If somebody works for 15-18 hours away, or hours a day, it will be very damaging to them. But if they work 6-7 hours a day and create and think and take time and really work with it, it's a very special form of meditation, and very, very good for your physiology. All the women that in our center, when they come and they work on that, so they physically become strong. So these tools has many, many benefits. And it does not need any electricity. It creates beautiful art. It makes you be healthy and active. But if you abuse them, it can get abused. Like if 18 hours, it will not good. So we need to honor that, and that's what the loom is teaching. So that's one of the environmental friendly thing that we're doing. The other one is we are working only with upcycle fabrics and natural fabrics. No polyesters, no chemicals. And we go to these big factories and we collect all these leftover fabrics that might would have been ended up into the landfills. We actually collect them, and then we wash them and weave them and turn them into pieces and remake these beautiful yoga mats and meditation pillows and things like that. People can visit the website and see those things. So that's second. And the third is like, we are asking the local government and the local farmers to help us grow hemp, because the hemp is so wild. And we are harvesting and weaving these hemp, and making really beautiful backpacks that we give to the young girls who couldn't afford school supplies and things like that. And then we also sell to the market, because we are understanding that one polyster's backpack will take almost 800 years to decompose. And so like the child that is using the polyester backpack right now, will 8th generation will have to deal with it. So we are like, okay, how can we move that away and not make that, and make a backpack that is going to be decomposed, and the hemp backpack decomposed within 8 months, 8 to 9 months. So it's like, if you can use, and even if you throw, it will be decomposed. So it just those are the things that we are really doing great, and we're setting up an example. We are inspiring the customers and educating them through the products, that how important it is to purchase these. There is some mindset that people are like, I don't want to buy recycles and upcycles, and it's old. But it's like, really, we need to learn that there's so much fashion industry is one of the most polluting industry right now. After oil, fashion is the second. And if we don't honor that and learn how to recycle, we are already facing a huge crisis, with the nature. Like all the rivers in Nepal is almost dead because the chemicals and the fabrics are all these are being discarded to these rivers. And a lot of the manufacturings are happening in Asia, so people don't get to see in the Western world a lot what's happening. Like, people are buying in US 20 times more than what they used to buy 10 years ago. And all this purchase happens, and then they wear one or two times, and then you thrift them, and then the thrift sent back all those fabrics to countries, poor countries, and they take whatever they can, and the rest goes to the landfill. So it's a very emergency thing that we feel like we need to address. So we're trying our small way to do that through arts and crafts.
Yes, wow. It's so true that the fashion industry has changed to exactly what you're saying. It's season in, season out. You shouldn't be wearing a sweater from months ago. You shouldn't use it again next year. It's a kind of cycle we've created that's very unsustainable.
Yeah.
And you're right that it needs to shift. And I think it's very symbolic the way you're taking the way you want to change this fashion industry, and you're taking like the scraps from the factories, and from the scraps you're making something
Mhm.
beautiful that can be sustainable and keep going, and also that you're targeting women of an age that can be working, and you're also helping younger women with their education, so providing the
Mhm.
backpack, promoting and encouraging them to go to school, and to basically, slowly in an organic and natural way develop a better system to move out of where we are now. So what you're doing is really long term. It's not short. It's a really sustainable business. I think it's very admirable. Can you please share with us your website so that our viewers can take a look at
Yeah.
all these products?
Yeah, definitely. One thing I want to add that for every business, women or men, for every as a survivor, I feel like it's very important to understand your ethics. When you think of vision, where the vision is. Is it connected to the? Can you care first people and the planet, and then profit? Like, can we if we build the values first, then one vision after another, it's in the favor of humanity and the nature. And so, like, when our first vision was like, okay, I escaped the poverty, and I got the education, and now I just want to help. And then that one help with another help, it just ripples out. So I just want to just add that for any business leaders who wants to create a business or anything, please pay attention on your ethics and your values. Who you are, what do you want to bring to the world. Because money should be the last thing to worry about. And it's very interesting how it works, because the more you care about the nature, the more you care about people, all the fundings and everything's like knocks your door. Like in 2011, we had amazing women. Her name is Katie Jeffrey. She came to Nepal, and she interviewed and put our story in Forbes magazine. And in that time, we didn't even know what Forbes magazine was. So it's like, when you do things from the heart, it works like magic, and you attract those people, and those people look for you. So please always pay attention on the values of what you do and what do you want to represent, because we have a very limited time in this earth. And if we can be mindful about these things, we will be, because I know in the end of the day, we want to love people, we want to love our planet, and we get stuck sometime. So take the time, pay attention on your values, and then form your vision and mission around that. that will really help. So for website, in 2015, I come to America for the first time to speak in one of the conference. And when I walk to this major department store and I'm seeing these fabrics and these things, and I'm like, oh my God, like it feels like something that I had only seen yesterday. And that's when I had like a huge awakening or understanding that maybe the first world countries have abolished the slavery in the form of human, but these very affluent countries are still importing goods and chocolates or clothes or light bulbs or things that contain slavery. And once I had that understanding, I was like, oh my God, we need to do something about it. So we had amazing people around us, and they help us put together 501c3 nonprofit organization called Empowerment Collective. And Empowerment Collective is really a mission to raise awareness around modern day slavery, and really give people those 7 keys, those 7 ingredients to the people who are victims, and as well as educate people here in US or in Canada or all over the world to become more aware of what you buy and what you consume. Because I feel like if we don't know where our things come from, we might be consuming suffering in the form of products. And because it's not made by fairly, when I was in the sweatshop and I was like, oh, whoever's wear, they will wear my tears and my pain. So it's like, if we don't know where these things come from, we might be consuming suffering. So either it's you can start with one scarf or one shirt that you know where it come from. Shop locally. When you read label, pay attention to it, and think about those people who makes these things, because it's not automated. It's like somebody's touching it, making it. They put their eyes, they put their hands, and they make it, and their stories are not being told. Those people are invisible, so you have the power to make them visible. And the more we do that, the more connected we all will become. And I know that people in the affluent country wants to wear a really good unique products that is just made for them, and there are artists that wanting to do it for you. So it's something that I feel like we got disconnected along the way. And it is very, very important to raise awareness about it and make people aware that art is the expression of our beautiful humanity, and we should not destroy it. We should really preserve and care, and support. So if anybody wants to support our work, they can visit empowermentcollective.org and localwomenshandicrafts.com to shop. And if anybody wants to help me invite to speak to the universities or colleges or conference, they can go to my website, nasreensheikh.com. And I'm just so grateful for you to interviewing me and bringing me to this community.
Oh, we are grateful and honored that you would share your story and these amazing things you've done. You see how one person can create so much, and just the one person who helped you didn't know what you would do, and here you are, and you've helped so many, and now they've gone on to do their businesses. And
Yeah.
like you said, Forbes has spoken with you. You've also had TED Talks. Like,
Mhm.
your the ripple effect created is really incredible.
Yeah.
So I think that more and more good things are going to come, because like you said, you're magnetically attracting that good energy. So,
It's like it's like all these things that when I look back, I feel like I was just holding the vision. The vision is to we don't want to see the people in the sweatshop, we want the people to be artists. And that vision was so attractive to so many people, and they all came and supported that. So when you have a good, like, a vision that is connected to the bigger mission than you, then people wants to help. And all of the things that I have come so far, really, I'm just the holder of that space, and people are pushing me. Like, you are the one that bringing me here today and making me visible with your community, with so many like others, they help that way. Judy, like I spoke in Quebec and Canada and all these places, and it's like people like one person, and then one day you just like you hold that vision, and it's like if one person can help, then two-person, it has a ripple effect.
Yes.
So
It's just incredible. Thank you for sharing this time with us. I have one last question, given that, well, you're a woman and I'm in the Women in Business Club, and you've already given us such great advice on, the foundations of business if people did want to start their own business. I know that there have been statistics around the world that say that when a woman receives income or is able to be empowered and gain income, that income goes back to her community in a way that is different than when a man is making that income. So there's a greater effect, more of a percentage of it goes to the community, the children, and to building more continuous development and growth in the future. So I wonder what you have to say about women in specific, and what advice you would give to women who would want to start their own business in here or anywhere.
yeah, I feel like this is a very special time for women to really step into their power. And all those women who wants to do the business, I really want them and inspire them to look at in their heart, what they want to create that they will feel good, and the bigger, it's like thinking about a child. Somebody was telling me that it takes 9 months to give a birth, and a business or a mission, like it takes you so much time to, so it's like a nurturing your child, so how you want to spend time on what type of values, those things are very, very important. And the women need to really do the business from the heart, not so much from the brain feels very masculine energy, and a lot of women do get confused on that space. So I want you to block that noise from that outer world, and go inward and really feel what you feel most connected to. And then, don't give power to the fear. Step into that bravery, that courage, and just remember that women is the earth, and earth has so much power to like take care of everything. So if you have a vision, there will be a people, there will be a community that will come and invest and support you. But what you have to do is show up there, and that's like a courage. So I just want women to be more courageous and open up and really bring that vision from the heart space, to take care of not only her children, but have the vision and the mission to protect every children that is in this planet. As a collective mother, I feel like it is our responsibilities to make sure that no children work in the sweatshop, no children are being exploited in a way that they can't even afford clean drinking water. There's so much refugee crisis is happening right now, and all these young beautiful spirits are struggling. How can you step into that space to help them and give them a life without trauma? And those are the values that I feel like if women can really step into that, I promise there will be people, maybe not 100 people, but just one or two people that will help you lift that space, and be patient and kind to yourself also, because we have a lot of trauma that we are surviving, and we have survived. And sometimes doing less, we do more. So, yeah.
Very wise words. Focus on the goal, and the effects. The process will come as an effect instead of focusing on the steps. And
Yeah.
so it's a very, very empowering, very wise. And I think you've embodied what you've just given us as advice. So thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure. And I wish you and your great goals all the success possible. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Nasreen.
Thank you so much, Monica, for having me. I deeply appreciate. I hope I give something to help. If any questions, anything, let me know. Social medias are available. I love to respond. So, yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you.